Push the gold button to start the show in the store window.
Hello? Yeah.
Here, not
No.
King
Well,
Kong.
Home Depot, yeah. Okay.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Log on to what though?
Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
No, go. Oh, nice.
Yuletide carols being sung by a choir.
What's it like being a guy going to a fashion school?
Oof. Well, the first thing, the consensus that I've heard from most girls is that they assume you're gay, like, immediately.
This is Ethan. He goes to fashion school in New York. I kinda just showed up at the liquor store he works at by chance when exploring this random town. We had a really wholesome conversation as he showed me around his town after he got off his shift. Meeting him was a great reminder of how meaningful connections can come from the most simple interactions. It also was a great reminder of how our lives are shaped by invisible rules. People like Ethan who make choices outside the norm are often met with resistance from a society that struggles to accept what it's unfamiliar with. When you see a person with blue hair, your first thought is probably that this person is gay and weird. And shit, I'm not judging. I would have said the same thing in the past. But recently, I've realized how stupid that is. And some of you right now are probably calling me weird for saying something like this. It's just the person that dyed their hair. It says nothing about that person other than the fact that they like damaging their hair. We as a society assign meaning to that style. If you think about it, everything is a social construct. Masculinity versus femininity, time, class, beauty standards, race, even money itself is a social construct. It's just paper if you don't believe it has value. We've created all these rules that don't really exist outside of our minds. These quote-unquote rules are supposed to simplify life, but in reality they overcomplicate things. Some things like time and money have legitimate uses and make life easier. But the vast majority of these constructs breed discrimination, false expectations, unoriginality, and most detrimental of all, fear. The fear of living your life how you want to. We get one shot at life and we're busy worrying about living it according to norms. To me, that sounds fucking terrible. What's crazy is some people live their entire lives like this without challenging it or realizing it. Think about how most older folks are more traditional. Most of them lead a straight life with nuclear families and traditional gender roles, because it was just the right thing to do. Some of them could have been gay, didn't want a family, or wanted to do something considered outside the norm of their gender role, but they didn't because of the pressures of society. And by now, they're too old to do anything about it. It's a sad way to live, if you want to call that living. You might be so busy trying to be masculine or feminine to be socially accepted that you'll never really be yourself. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to be either, but just question if that's what you really want. Maybe you want to be a mix of both, or neither. Who gives a fuck? These are overarching terms that we made up. Maybe you want to try that neon orange outfit one day, but you wear a t-shirt and jeans so people don't think you're queer. And even if you are, should it really matter? The basis of homophobia, racism, sexism, and all that crap is because of social constructs. These very same constructs extend into the institutions we develop. School is a perfect example of this. A system which breeds students motivated by fear. Everybody's funneled into the same old STEM majors because it's quote-unquote what society needs. It's a poor sense of perspective that society's constructed. Just look at the funding at most universities. STEM subjects receive whatever funding they need. Subjects like art and social sciences are overlooked, receiving a fraction of STEM's funding because of society's perception of the usefulness of such subjects. A perception developed from the social constructs that prioritizes tangible and measurable outcomes. If you tell someone you're an artist, their first thought is that you're begging for spare change. They're under the assumption that the art you produce likely serves no value and probably that you're a dumbass. But Da Vinci, who painted the Mona Lisa, was also a master of anatomy, optics, and engineering. His success in these complex areas relied on his artistic ability to depict and understand such subjects. Bro developed the first accurate depiction of the human spine and drafted the idea behind the first war tank. An artist did that. We wonder why a lot of students don't seem to care about learning, yet most are fearful of studying what they actually have interest in. To survive in a society that has made a rule that prioritizes rewarding STEM subjects. Hey, if you enjoy STEM, shit, I'm not hating, but fitting everyone under the same mold doesn't make sense. Then it comes down to the question, why are we actively trying to categorize things and enforce these made-up rules? For one, I think it's quite innate for human beings to be in constant search of meaning due to our consciousness. Making all these concepts and lingo makes life easier to conceptualize. Life would be a big-ass blob if we didn't come up with some terms to understand patterns. But there should be an extent to which we do it. After all, we shouldn't oversimplify things, for we are complex beings. But I think the bigger theme at play is greed. People are always trying to get more and get an edge on others. A lot of us have learned to live against each other rather than with each other. What better way to get an edge than force people to live according to the rules that not everybody can fit? Technically speaking, there's enough for everybody to eat, but life would be boring if everybody ate or had the same amount, because there's no extravagance to strive for. There's no difference in classes. In other words, there's no success. A lot of us define life's purpose with striving for success. A success defined by materialism and social acceptance. Maybe it's striving for that penthouse in New York or becoming the next A-lister. The truth is, there probably is no purpose to life, but no one wants to accept that, so what better distraction than chasing money and fame? It's the same story over and over again. People chase wealth and fame only to find that it's only fulfilling to a certain point. That's because this version of success is a social construct. A construct driven by greed and deterrence from a more meaningful self-defined success. It makes you question, what are you really chasing? I've gotta say, it's a freeing feeling coming to this realization that we live in a world of made-up rules. Living life becomes an experience which is less judgmental and more embracive. People become a lot more interesting when you stop trying to put them in a box. I have respect for the dudes who paint their nails and cross-dress. Their behavior demonstrates a character of bravery and authenticity. They're pursuing a life with no rules because there are none. Just picture yourself on your deathbed realizing the fraud of a life you've lived because you followed fake rules. But hey, I get it. It's not your fault. Most of us are raised this way and it becomes more and more comfortable over time. In other words, less and less escapable. It's uncomfortable to do you when everyone's looking at you differently. But you'll probably realize how stupid that is, and what's more uncomfortable is living a life on someone else's terms. If enough people come to realize this, the new norm will just be being authentic. That'd be a dope life to live. Everyone would just be so different and exciting. Most people will label this mindset as edgy. Shit, I did at one point. In reality, edginess, when not performative, is just a dumb term that means you're not high-minded. It's not that, ooh, look at me, I'm so different, but more so the fact that we shouldn't reduce a great gift like diversity that keeps the world spinning. None of that salt and pepper shit. Stop living your life according to fake rules. Instead, go be free. Be edgy.